Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another roadmap stream. I was about to unmute Matt then, and he was like, "No, don't unmute us." But jokes on you, I hadn't unmuted yet. So, so can you all just make sure that you can hear us okay? How is everybody tonight? Matt, Adam, how are you both doing?
I'm good. Tired. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
Same as we're wrapping up towards Christmas, so yeah, it's getting a bit tough, but still loving it. So yeah.
You guys ready for your holiday?
Looking forward to Christmas for sure.
Yeah. Same with you, Matt.
Oh yeah, definitely. I get a break. I'm looking forward to it.
You can finally get some time off.
The whole of Christmas playing Train Sim though on stream.
I'm gonna play the whole holiday playing Train Sim World. You bet.
Best busman's holiday.
My wife's not watching. Yeah.
Now, this is the last roadmap stream of the year. Now, just in case anybody has joined us for the very last one, but for the first time this year, could you tell us who you are and what you do here at Dovetail? Let's start with you, Adam.
So I am senior producer here at Dovetail Games. I head up the preservation crew, and our job is to look after all the routes and trains that have been released so far for Train Sim World 2. And what we do is we go back, if any new features have been developed in later routes, then we add those in, such as new dynamic skies or level crossings, or things like the platform information systems, and we bring those up to speed. And we also react to community feedback. If there's been an improvement or a bug has been noticed, then we will go in, we'll make those changes, and keep all the routes and trains up to date.
Yeah. How about you, Matt?
I make the tea mostly.
Ah, yes. I thought that was Mike's job.
Well, no, I'm his junior. I'm
yes.
learning the trade.
Tea apprentice.
But tea apprentice, that's the word. No, I'm the executive producer of Train Sim World. I look after the team and help determine, just sort of see where we're going feature-wise and look at some of the trains and routes we're making and figure out how we make these things. What's the team structure and. Lots of stuff. But nothing.
If
that
I
really
have
means,
a question, I go to Matt.
Right.
nothing that really means anything, because all the people that actually know what they're doing are all the clever people that build the actual game, and I just look at them going, "Ooh, that's awesome."
Sounds very busy and important. So, shall we crack on with this week's roadmap? Because obviously there's been quite a lot of discussion in this one, and I think there's an awful lot in the article, and there's been a considerable amount of movement. So
yeah, I'm really excited. There's an awful lot that came from me this week.
Yes, there was. We will give you the opportunity to.
I could speak the
Yeah,
entire stream.
you will get your time, Adam. Don't you worry. Now, first thing we're going to talk about is that the RHB pack is into next arrival. And that's, alongside that, we're going to be releasing those timetable updates, this week. Have you got any news about that? About the updates? How's it coming along? How's it looking?
It's running a bit later than we would have liked. I think the aim was that we were going to have it out yesterday or today. But at the moment, still on track. Just trying to make sure everything is as better as it can be before it comes out.
And just to be very clear, the updates to the timetable for the Arosa route are not linked to the pack that is coming out. The update for the timetable will be separate, and you're not going to have to pay for that update, are you?
That's correct, yep. River Games have updated the default timetable with Arosa, so you will get those improvements even if you don't buy the RHB pack.
Although the RHB pack is looking very cute. I particularly like the fairy lights.
Yes, I think it's a really quirky little.
I know when we did the preview stream, the music in the car went down really, really well. Everyone loved that, and they wanted to hear it for a lot longer.
I feel like you're lying.
I might be. I think it's a 2-second loop.
Oh dear.
I liked it.
I'm sure you did. Now, next on the roadmap is actually we spoke about the expansion pack that is going to be coming to Train Sim World 2. And Matt, that's part of the reason we've got you on the stream tonight, isn't it? You're able to give us a little bit of detail about this pack, what's included, and what everybody can look forward to. But first of all, I've seen some people in the chat asking if this expansion pack means that the 3 core routes are going to be extended. Is that what this pack is offering?
No, this pack is not changing the routes themselves. This pack is what we wanted to do with this pack was take the 3 core routes, so that's Sandpatch Grade, Colnacken and Bakerloo line, the original, the 3 core routes from the base TSW2, and expand the gameplay on them, provide some additional experiences and some different and some variety on it, because everybody's got that, so it's kind of like let's give something, put something together that everybody can enjoy, regardless of, rather than it being a separate DLC that is for one route or something like that. And so what we've done is we look to try and add a new train for each route. And in the case of Colnacken, it's a BR423. In the case of Sandpatch Grade, what we've done is we're taking the Clinchfield SD40 and we are painting it in a Heritage CSX livery. And the storyline behind it is that it's just, this hasn't happened in real life, but it's a what if. This loco has been restored to working order and is going out doing rail fanning excursions, essentially. So you'll be taking it out on its maiden runs and so forth. And that seems quite. What's really interesting about that is the Clinchfield SD40 has the old control stand on it versus the newer SD40-2, which means it's actually a different driving experience compared to the SD40-2, particularly coming down the hills operating with dynamic brakes. So it's cool. I think that's going to be a lot of fun, and it's one I can't remember exactly. It's one of the older grey CSX liveries, so it's quite different to the ones that are already in Sandpatch Grade.
I think it's called CSX-S.
Is it S? I can't remember exactly what I put on the document.
If you Google that, CSX-S.
There you go. So that's that one, and then for I'll come back to Colnacken in a minute. Actually, I skipped over that one. I realised Bakerloo line. What we've done, so there's not an awful lot of options you can do on the Bakerloo line, because it kind of just runs a 72 stock. But what we wanted to, we thought next year is the 50th anniversary of the 1972 stock. It goes quite handily. Now, again, I'm not aware that TfL are planning to do this, but we thought, wouldn't it be cool to take the 1972 stock and repaint it in its launch livery in the silver and red, and then have a set of scenarios celebrating the sort of the 50th anniversary of the amazing 1972 stock. So this will be some services and some scenarios around doing that. And then back on Colnacken, clearly the biggest thing missing from Colnacken is the S-Bahn services. Now, you can kind of do the S-Bahn services, some of them at least, using the BR422 as an add-on layer. So what this will do is we're going to duplicate that so that it doesn't take anything away, and then we're going to change the 422 to use the 423 instead, because that's what should be there. And then we'll add the rest of the BR, because we haven't got the entirety of the S-Bahn in, so we're going to look and try and expand that out to cover some more of the S-Bahn services as well. So you get a bunch more traffic running up and down the line using the really fun BR423. So that's kind of what we've structured for that pack, and that's the storylines behind that. So I think it sounds like it's be fun. I know the gameplay team have been enjoying the sort of the creativity that
I was going to ask, what's inspired the team to create scenarios that are perhaps not as realistic as we've done in the past? Because these are very fictional scenarios. What was the thought process there?
So the whole thing really is about being, it's about inspiring creativity, and it's kind of a theme in the pack anyway. But when we were looking at the extra things that we can add with different trains and so forth, it was kind of looking at those different options of what would be interesting to have. it's kind of like this is where it all came together and was like, well, actually, if we did this and we did that, and piecing things together, and I wouldn't say there was a particular thing there other than as it all sort of formed as we were looking at all the options. It was like, oh, this set of options feels like it would be really really different to what we've done before. I've also tasked the gameplay team with trying to push it a little bit harder on a couple of the scenarios. I've seen some screenshots that look rather interesting for the SD40 ones at least.
Okay.
So again, it's about getting the team to enjoy it and be a bit more creative, and then hopefully it'll be really good fun for players as well.
So we've spoken scenarios. Will the timetables be getting updated? Will there be any more services added?
So we're going to. So there's the Kolnaken. We will be adding the S-Bahn services. I did see someone saying if would other services be usable by the Munich 423, for example. So the services will come in with a new timetable that comes with this pack.
Yep.
So the existing one, which runs with the 422, will remain, and then this will be a new timetable that adds the new services and switches it all to the 423 instead. That way, no one loses anything from what they've already got if that's the way they're playing it. So that's that one. Sandpatch Grave will get a handful of extra services, putting the new livery around and making that available on the route. So you'll be able to run it up and down the line, and it works via substitution as well. So you can slot it in anywhere on that route. And then on the Bakerloo line, now the obvious question there is, does this mean the big service mode? That has been talked about for quite some time.
The one that I believe has been talked about since before I started.
Yes, and we are still waiting for the tech improvements to the editing tools to allow us to do that. It's a complicated explanation for what is required for what's doing that, and maybe I can try and explain that on the forums or something rather than putting everybody to sleep on the stream. So we're still waiting for that. It's difficult. I think there was about 11 tasks that I identified that needed to be done. The first 3 have been done, and they've actually already been helping the team a lot in the authoring of service mode. And it's the 4th one that makes it possible. The rest of them make everything else possible. Really, I'm a lot easier in timetabling, but it's this 4th one which is really difficult, and it's about dynamic pathing. And that's the one that's kind of like the crown jewels. If we master that, not only does this become actually really easy, it doesn't just make it possible, it really makes it quite easy. So many other things will become really easy.
So if I just may jump in about one of the phrases used there, dynamic pathing. So is this where the train will be pathed into the empty platform, as it were? So if you've got one train at Elephant and Castle on the Bakerloo line, for example, it will just use the empty platform, not wait to get into the platform it was originally assigned.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't necessarily assign it a platform. Effectively, on the previous instruction, on the one that's saying go to Elephant and Castle, you would just say, I don't care which platform you go to at Elephant and Castle, just go Elephant and Castle. And then essentially when it leaves the previous station, what it'll do is it will say, right, well, there's a train in platform 3, I'll go into platform 4. And that way it can dynamically. The same thing then applies to the depot at Queen's Park. Which is kind of where the problem becomes, because you've got 2 places where you can have these dynamic choices, and that's where it logarithmically explodes the options. That's the wrong word, but it means it's making things not just a little bit harder. The fact that there's 2 places you can have these choices makes it a lot harder, and that's why you want it to just happen at runtime. In the real world, a human being would just make this decision and no one would think it was a big deal. There's that 21 is free, I'll put the train in 21, job done. Whereas the way that the editing tools work, we have to figure that out all the time, throughout the entire day in advance, and that's it's not practical, which is where things become a cropper. So no, it does not include that, but that has not been forgotten about. We just haven't got to that yet.
This is holding us up doing more underground routes, isn't it? Because ever since we did Bakerloo, we've wanted to do more. We think it's a fantastic rail system, but there's no point tackling more if we're suffering issues on the first one.
It's making me very cautious to look at more underground routes at the moment, because I don't want to under deliver in the same way. So that's not to say we're never going to do one again. totally not the case at all. But it just means, well, when we do one again, let's not have this problem, and let's deliver the kind of service where we all want to see on that route. It would also help. Like, I spent the weekend working on the Chemnitz route, and most of that time would have gone away with this feature. It just would have been probably a couple of hours work with this feature in there. Just to give you an idea of how it helps so much of the dev time. But let's draw a line under that. That's not what this is.
Yes, I think we may have digressed ever so slightly there.
Yeah.
So
we love to talk. We just love to talk.
I know.
So what is it? What it is it'll be some extra services which run the train up and down the line, the special livery version, and sort of like it's the birthday. Call it the birthday, day of the train running up and down the line, doing some services and then going in and out of the depot. And then the scenarios will be kind of very focused on particular things that are going on around that thing. So, and then we'll look at letting it have limiting substitution so that you can drive it actually on any of the trains that if you want to as well. So there'll be plenty of places to drive them.
And then also as a part of this pack, there's going to be Creators Club. Now, this is the first time we've spoken about Creators Club. We announced it in the roadmap today. What is Creators Club, Matt?
Creators Club is a place to share your liveries and scenarios that is completely platform agnostic. So the goal here is, if we had a Steam Workshop integration, for example, then Steam Workshop integration would only work on PC.
Yep.
If you're on a PlayStation and an Xbox, you would not be able to benefit from these things. So what we did is, and it's one of the reasons it's taken longer, because if we were just doing a Steam Workshop integration, it would probably be quite quick. But actually, we've developed and built quite a large infrastructure that allows us to do all of our own hosting and integrate it fully into the game. So there's I'll come back to that in a minute rather than digressing. So yeah, you'll be able to take your scenarios and your liveries that you've created in the game, and then you can upload them. And if you upload them on PlayStation, you can download them on Xbox, download them on PC, any combination.
That's amazing.
It's fully cross-platform and it works really well. It's great fun seeing that work. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So obviously a big part of this that has been talked about with Creators Club is the ability to share livery designs. And today we also put some recommendations out alongside it, suggesting that if people want to create their liveries before Creators Club is released, that we advise they follow our current guidelines, which are very similar to the restrictions we put in place for the livery competition. Can you go into a little bit of detail and perhaps explain why we've put those guidelines out now alongside this announce?
So we really want to, get people engaging with livery designer and making some cool stuff. But there are some potential challenges in terms of the legalities of things, the licenses of things. And yes, I'm going talking licenses. I'm not hiding behind licenses. I'm holding it up and saying, this is a real thing, folks. The real world exists and copyright is a thing. But I explain some of that stuff as I go. So what we've gone with is a set of guidelines which we know are safe. These are guidelines which we know if you create stuff according to those guidelines, you will not waste your time. At the end of and anything you create now, will work. There's no new version of Livery Designer with you're going to be able to. You're not waiting for an update to Livery Designer. What you have now, you can use and start banking up your liveries ready to start uploading once you've got access to the tools. So yeah, you've got that. So what we want to do is give you the safest guideline that says, right, go with that. Now, the legal team within Dovetail are continuing to fine-tune and figure out what actually can and what the actual cans and can'ts and do's and don'ts are. And we've leaned heavily on the safe side. We may remain exactly there. Just to be clear, that may well be exactly where things remain. But any updates to that? And we totally are seeing the forum posts and the comments indeed in the stream. And we share those thoughts ourselves. And if there's any change, obviously we'll let you know at the appropriate time how that goes. So yeah, it's tricky. Licenses are, they exist in the real world. They're a real thing. Copyright is a thing, and unlike most games out there, we really depend on those licenses. Players really, really love the brands on the trains. You want to see DB branded trains, and if something were to make one of the operators say, well, no, I don't want to do that anymore. That's violated the license agreement. You could never have that brand of train in the game again. So this is about protecting the core experience that everybody wants and making sure that's absolutely safe. This is not a game you want to play a risk with.
Yeah.
It's really, really important. So
I do have a question for you about the licenses, though, because obviously, even with the restrictions we've currently put out, why can't players use things like the ICE3, for example?
So the IC3 is a special case. DB specifically asked us to, and for example, that one's excluded from the competitions under that specific request from DB. So for other brands, for example, like I'm not gonna name any specific brands, but the brands in the game, the ones that you all see, and the problem. It's not really a problem. The situation with those is, and the reason that the obvious case would be, well, hang on, we've got those brands. Why can't at least we upload those things? Well, actually, it works the other way around almost, because we have a license agreement with those organisations, and that license agreement has specific rules set down about how we can use that brand, and we must follow those to the letter in terms of how it's placed, where it's placed, background colors it's used on, but also then how it goes through an approval process. So just because we have a license with an organization doesn't mean we can carte blanche just make a train and publish it. Whenever we make a train, we then have to take lots of images of that train and send it for approval. We'll get feedback about any changes they want, and like SNCF, for example, sent us a 30-page document of all of the tweaks to the model, and the most trivial changes, but they're really important to SNCF. About how we wanted to express the train in a better way, and so that's that kind of the backwards and forwards is crucial to that. It gets you the real brands in the game. This is such an important thing, but because those licenses agreements are in place, it actually means we have an agreement document literally saying we have to follow those agreements. So, but then copyright law applies where you haven't got an agreement. So, and a logo is a copyrighted image.
Okay. So I guess we've got a pretty good understanding of the licensing side of things there. So we are actually really looking forward to seeing what everybody creates. And if you're interested in Creators Club and you want to share your liveries, then please do try your hand at it. I mean, actually thinking about it, Matt, when Creators Club releases, all those liveries I've created on the livery streams, they're going to become available, aren't they? So should you want my liveries, they could potentially have them.
It's worth saying, actually, I just want to clarify that you said once it becomes available, they become available. Nothing happens automatically.
Okay.
So don't be afraid that suddenly all of your liveries are going to suddenly appear on the Creator Club. You go through an upload process, and you can set them up. It uses the screenshots actually from what they call the Railfan shots, so the ones that upload directly to Dovetail Live. So it pulls those directly down into the game, and you can pick the shots then that you want to put on the sort of the info page. So there's a process to upload, and you can even update an item later on. So if you upload a livery and then later on you improve that livery, you can update that on the site, and everybody will then get that down as a sort of it's using the sort of the subscription model, similar to the way Steam Workshop does it, in that once you've subscribed, I'm going to use the word with the air quotes even, once you've subscribed to an item, it will keep itself updated as the author updates that piece of content.
Cool. So yeah, we might end up the licensing situation could change, but obviously, like we said, the reason we've got the guidance at the moment is because we're very early on in the development of this, aren't we? So we want to get you guys excited. We want you to to play around with the livery designer. We want you to get excited about sharing your livery designs. But we really don't want you to potentially waste your time if we don't come to a suitable outcome with the licensing. Because the last thing we'd want to do is have you make an absolute work of art on the livery designer and then find out you can't share it. So at the moment the guidance is very much it's because it's early in development, and we don't want you to waste your time. So
there's a couple of questions actually. I've just
go for it. Yeah, read them
on the chat here. So one of them is, can we download a livery and modify it ourselves? So day one, no. Because it's a subscription essentially, and I'm not using that in the monetary terms of subscription. This is as in it will keep itself updated. Because it will keep itself updated, you can't modify these files; they're locked. The other thing with them is that if they've used decals you've not unlocked in the mastery, it will still work for you. So you don't need to have unlocked custom decals to be able to use someone's livery that does use them. But then obviously that would mean also you can't edit because you haven't got those decals. So, but we are looking potentially in the future at some way where you could copy the livery and then modify it later on. But we need to see how people go with that piece, take an idea, get some communication with the people who upload and how happy they are with people downloading and modifying their work and so forth, and sort of make sure that we're listening to the people who are doing the creators and what they're doing and so forth. Someone else also asked, does Creator Club also support scenarios?
Yes, I was just about to ask.
We talk an awful lot about the liveries.
Yes, let's talk about the scenarios. Lodestar said the scenario sharing, it's interesting. How is it interesting? Tell us about it.
So yeah, scenarios. You can create your scenario. You can use custom liveries in your scenario, and you upload it the same way you would any other item. Other people can download it and play it. I am really looking forward to seeing the kinds of scenarios. I've seen sort of videos and screenshots people have taken some of the stuff that they've made themselves, and obviously they can't share it at the moment because it's sat on their computer. And so, other than sharing a video of it, it's really difficult for them to get that around there. Whereas now it'll be really, really simple, and then anybody on any platform can then play that that scenario that's been created. And one of the things that's quite neat is that instead of getting lost in a sea of dependencies, so if any dependencies in terms of what trains a DLC are needed, the system will manage for you or tell you if you haven't got the right things and so forth. Cool. So you'll get that's very clear, and so you already know what you're doing in that front. But then if the scenario uses say 5 or 6 reskins and you don't have those downloaded, the system will automatically revert to the non-reskin version of that train. So it's if it needed a ton of them and you don't want to download some of those, then the scenario will still be playable. So that's pretty neat. So it's it's the early stages again of what we're doing, and it should be a lot of fun, and it'll mean that people can finally share these really cool scenarios they've been working on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, for Natalie, actually, quickly, does that mean we could potentially see a Creators Club Wednesday segment on Railfan TV?
Oh, I'm hyped. I love it.
Do you know, there's no reason not to do that. And somebody actually just, I'd forgotten the name, I've just lost the name. Gareth Hubble said, a scenario competition where the winner gets featured on a 4-up challenge. That could be incredible, because could you imagine we were all doing one of the players' scenarios?
I'm already looking forward to it.
Yeah, so that has the potential to be an awful lot of fun. So I see no reason not to do. But I wouldn't want to step on the TS's Workshop Wednesdays, but we could definitely find another day, perhaps.
Another day, yeah, totally. Yeah. But yeah, it's all about celebrating the stuff that people are creating. Now they can share it, and again, it's cross-platform sharing. So this is not just PC; this is all consoles as well, all on a level playing field. It's fantastic. It really is good to get that way.
Yeah. So can we just summarize what the pack will include? So it'll be the Creators Club Access, which gives you the livery designer sharing and the scenario planner sharing. You have 9 scenarios that will be coming?
3 scenarios for each route.
3 scenarios for each route, and timetable additions as well.
Timetable additions and tweaks and customizations and so forth. We don't know exactly how the detail of that is going to. So the development of the pack is still ongoing, and service mode is a difficult one to try and predict in advance. But as I've outlined previously, that's what we're looking for. Is probably a few extra services in each case. Although the Cologne one will probably be a bit more in the service pack because we're looking to add as much S-Bahn traffic as possible on that one.
And then finally, it will be the liveries or trains for added as well. So that's the entirety of it. Now, we do have people asking how much is it going to cost, when is it going to be available? A lot of questions that unfortunately we can't actually answer at the moment because we are, like we said, still very early in development for this. But we'll be able to offer you a lot more information in the new year. But I think we've tried to cover as much as we can for tonight. I don't think there's anything else we can actually share at this time.
Not on the specifics on the pack. I'm just looking at a couple more questions. Hentis has said, how would this expansion pack affect the PS5 DLC limit? So it itself counts as a DLC. So that would contribute with the DLC limit, but the stuff that you're downloading through it does not. So the consoles have a separate 1 gigabyte space allocated for user-generated content, which is completely aside away from the 64 gigs of DLC allowance. And these files are tiny, so 1 gigabyte is an enormous amount of stuff. So we're not seeing that one as a problem just yet, anyway. But we'll see how, we're going to track things how they go, and we can look at optimizing and improving. But it's downloading loads of extra scenarios, for example, or liveries, is not going to contribute to the 64 gig problem.
Jason PFC has actually just asked a really good question that I think we should clear up as well. So is Creators Club part of the 2.0 livery scenario editor that's currently on the roadmap? Because I can see why there'd be confusion there. Is it part of that, or is that a separate entity?
No. It's not part of the 2.0. 2.0 that we put into the roadmap specifically talks about additional functionality. So we've got ideas of making an extra functionality available on Livery Designer and Scenario Planner. Sorry. So that's separate to this, which is sharing.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. And
someone asked earlier on, is this web based or in game? The answer actually is both, and that's pretty cool, actually. So there's a full native in-game interface to all of this stuff, so you log into Dovetail Live in the game. The option, but there's a new button appears on the screen. When you click on that, you then go in and you can browse and download, and you can upload all within the in-game interface. And it's a proper full in-game interface. It's not spawning a web pop-up or anything daft like that. So that's really cool. But there is also a web interface. So when you log into Dovetail Live on the web, you will also be able to browse it. So for example, on your phone, while you're traveling to or from work or school or something, you'll be able to browse the content on the phone. And because it's a subscription system, and again, I don't mean the money subscription, I mean the ability to flag that you want a file. What happens is, say for example, you're on a bus or something, you're browsing down the list of liveries, and you're like, oh, that's good. You press the subscribe button on there, and it will flag it. And you can do that as much as you like. Next time you fire the game up, they'll auto-download.
That's cool. So you can look at all these lovely liveries, a bit like a shopping list, and you go, I want that, I want that, I want that, and then when you log in,
all of that stuff will then download and be ready for you. So it's really cool how the web and the in-game stuff works together. Senor Snore, no, sorry, not Senor Snore. Someone said, is it sharing across multi-platform? Yes, it is.
Yeah, which is excellent. Awesome. So I think we should really talk about other things now, because it's very nice having you talk, Matt. But Adam isn't here just to be a pretty face. He does have some things to share with us tonight. So Adam, can you talk to us about the red signal deadlocks that have been going on and the progress we've been making towards fixing them?
Yes. So obviously we've seen an increase in reports recently about a lot of red signals being experienced, but also trains getting into deadlock situations. So you might get into a situation where your red signal is because another train is coming the other way, but then they've got a red signal because you're coming along. So we've been investigating this. Originally it was the preservation crew looking into, have we done something very recently with the routes? Have we touched something that we shouldn't have? Because it started to propagate into a lot of other routes and different DLCs. But as we dialed down into it, as we looked up what was going on, we traced it back to a change that was made to ensure AI trains were a lot more stable when they were approaching red signals. And that meant that we got them to back off a bit so that they weren't coming up to signals quite so fast and quite so close. But that has actually impacted their ability to complete some tasks they might be assigned, where they might be pulling into a station that's got a red signal at the end of the platform, and the AI train was not approaching the end of the platform for that red signal, but then not actually registering that it was stopping at the platform either. So while we wanted that feature, that was a positive upgrade that we wanted to the system, we actually have then made it a bit softer in the way it treats and the way it handles coming up to red signals. So it means that now it can both cope with the much more cautious approach to red signals, but also still work with a lot of the gameplay that we've got and a lot of the issues that users have been reporting. So that is currently in testing. I think it went into testing last week.
Yeah.
And so far we're having great and positive response of all the reports that I've had back from the community and the threads that I've been looking at on the forums.
So it sounds like that is a particularly impactful issue as well, because like you said, that's cropped up on multiple routes. So are you fixing the signal blocks on every single route?
No, this is where we realised that it wasn't caused by a change that was the route and train side, but it was actually deep within the dispatcher in the core AI driving system. So this will be a fix that goes out. I don't yet have a time frame of when it will go out. Obviously, we want it pretty soon, and the rest of the team is fully aware of that. But it is a core system with Train Sim World 2, so when that goes out, it will just resolve those issues that players have been experiencing.
Yeah, it's worth noting I just want to send out a big thank you. The beta team at the moment are testing this fix along with another one. Actually, we talk about memory optimizations a lot, and the engineering team have found another 100 megabyte they can evaporate into nowhere, which is just amazing. And this is across everything. But this is another core change to the game. So that one is currently in test with and they're literally the beta team are probably over the Christmas period are just playing everything in the game over and over again, trying to test as much as possible. So we're, I want a big shout out to the beta team. They really are tremendous in helping us accelerate this along, because we could do it all with the QA team, but having these extra eyes on it is going to make it come out much faster. Yeah.
Now, Adam, you're also focusing on fixing some of the more impactful issues that the players experience quite often, aren't you? Such as the scenarios that are broken on Cathcart. This is a new addition again on today's roadmap. Can you talk about what the team are doing there?
So actually that came out of this investigation into a lot of reports of red signals and trains getting stuck. The majority did seem to fall under this core upgrade change. So that was really cool. But yeah, there were a couple indeed that suffered issues directly with the routes themselves. And so we need to go in. We have been making improvements, especially to Cathcart. We found that both the route introduction as well as a couple of the scenarios have been suffering issues that have been reported. So there are a few instances across the routes where we have to go in and actually fix that content itself. I have on my list that there are, I think it was something on West Somerset Railway, and there was some stuff on Northern Transpennine, on the Cathcart obviously, and then on one of the German routes as well, but the name forgets me at the moment. So yeah, there's a couple going in. What we're doing is we're rolling those fixes into our preservation crew upgrades. So we don't want separate releases of a route coming out.
So you are going through those other routes, and anywhere where, let's say, there's a scenario that is unachievable, you will be rectifying that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent. Now let's also talk about some of the other stuff that we've added from the preservation crew this week, because there's quite a lot. You gave us an awful lot this week, didn't you, Adam? Let's talk through it. Let's go through your list. I'm sure you've got one right there on your screen.
Well, basically, we kind of touched on it last week, or the last roadmap, where pretty much as we're coming to the end of the year, this was when my team was scheduled to complete all of the work we've been doing. Over the last 6 months, we've been much more focused on feature upgrades than the deep dives where we're really getting under the skin of each of the routes or trains. So this is where we've been upgrading Things like the departure boards on platforms. We've been looking at the animated level crossings, upgrading the skies, making the track rendering much further into the distance and smoother. We have been making a few scenery improvements. So on Peninsula Corridor, where a lot of players are reporting scenery disappearing in the distance, or there's one particular area near Bay Shore where the Pacific Ocean, or is it, sorry, the bay completely disappeared. So yeah, we've been fixing things like that. We also had a feature called Contact the Signaller. This is where if you need to pull up to a signal and you're coupling to rolling stock that's beyond, say, in the platform, beyond the signal, you would need to contact the signaller to get permission to proceed through what is obviously a red signal. That was a feature that was built into the menu system, the little pop-up menu system. And ever since the release of Train Sim World 2, we've wanted to really dial down how many menus you need to use to just play the routes, play the trains. And so part of the immersion was putting that function onto a phone in the cab, or maybe a walkie-talkie. So we've put in that contact signaller functionality. That has actually also gone onto routes that have phones on the signals themselves.
That's cool.
So you could get out of the cab at the signal, walk up the signal, use the phone, then get back into the cab and then pass through. So that's really cool. So we've been doing those. So we've got that listed against. I've got my list here.
Bill Hicklins has said, in other words, we'll see these fixes a year from now. Now, this is something I've seen actually a few people in the community talking about. Not only the length of time it's going to take to see these fixes, but the fact that there are this many things in upcoming. Because as we explained in the roadmap, when it's in upcoming, it generally means that by this point the preservation crew have finished doing your side of things, and now everything is in testing, which can take a long time. And the community are rightfully concerned that this many things are currently in testing. When are they going to realistically see these updates? You know, obviously you can't give us an exact time frame, but is it something to be concerned about? Is it going to be months and months and months before they see these?
Well, obviously, like you say, I can't actually say when these updates are going to come out, because it is based on the scheduling and timing of other teams. But certainly, we have now really pushed hard with the QA team about what is the plan to get this stuff released, what is the process we're going to go through. Previously I spoke about we were doing a risk analysis on all of the changes we've done. I think we're now up to about the 450, 500 mark in the number of individual changes that we've made across a number of the DLC. In fact, I was looking not too long ago about an end-of-year report, and we have certainly achieved more in the last 6 months since the Rush Hour launch than we did in the first 6 months of the year, where actually we did get a few upgrades out. Now, the risk analysis has indicated that most of the changes we've made are very low risk in terms of their reach. So, for example, if we add the functionality of climbing up the platform edge, that doesn't really affect other platforms. It doesn't affect the track. It doesn't affect the scenario system. So we have two systems basically that are going to be running, and that'll be one. Anytime a like route or region is being tested, they will roll in the test for our content as well. So if the QA team are currently looking at a German route release or a UK route release, they will also look at German and UK route upgrade stuff. And then I'm now also in the planning of large major upgrades where we've made some changes to, say, Great Western Express to bring in the passenger information systems. That's actually required quite a significant overhaul of the timetable, and that obviously makes everyone very worried. Have we damaged the timetable in any way? What's the risk level there? So then we need to dedicate resources to solely testing, for example, on the Great Western Express timetable. So there's still a lot of planning going on about how we're going to get this out, but it means that the preservation crew have really hit a great milestone. We've now gone through the entire back catalogue and completed the upgrade of a lot of these features, and we'll be moving and supporting the QA team with their testing process. So, you know, because no one wants it more, wants these releases more than the preservation crew themselves.
We know.
We're working hard in the new year, for sure.
Yeah. And then when we talk about the risk factors that are involved with some of these updates, when we were discussing the red light signals, for example, would that be considered a high risk a high-risk fix? Is that something that is potentially going to take longer to get through testing? Because you said it's in testing at the moment.
Absolutely, yes. The signal fix is a very high risk. We don't want to be messing with AI trains and how they approach signals very often. And we have learned some lessons there where we need to do even more testing. So, like I say, even though that signal fix is already in testing and has been for about a week, not entirely sure. I'm not getting the impression it's going to be this side of Christmas, because we want to make absolutely sure that everything is as stable as it can be. So, yeah, anything that's much higher risk, we will both be throwing more resources at it and also being taking a lot longer to make sure it's all good. So, not only the QA team, the preservation crew, but also we'll be roping in Discord servers and beta forum as well.
Yeah, it's one of those things. The problem arose because the testing, it transpires, wasn't as comprehensive as we thought it was. So it's more comprehensive testing this time around, because we know we fixed the problem. Because we've all the test cases we had which didn't work now do work. What we want to do is make sure we've not introduced a problem that we haven't come across yet. So again, this is where the QA team, the beta team and ourselves are going to be just playing scenarios, playing services, playing and running through it and making sure that we don't come across any problems.
Yeah. Absolutely. So Monda has said, what if the Pres crew updates could be tested by the community? We already have the DLCs and can help with the testing. Let's say we get a beta of the update, and if feedback is fine, the route gets updated. And I think I won't have been the only one to have seen this, but the community often don't like being testers of the game. I think there are people that are quite happy to be part of a beta program, but if you have paid for your game and you've paid to play it, you don't then want to be someone who is testing any updates that are required for it. But you do take new people into the beta program, don't you, Matt?
Yeah, we've had a number of new people join the beta program recently, actually, and that's been, it's grown a fair bit. And so there's a few people who messaged me on the forum. So I don't want to open the floodgates for it, because at this point in time, I'm not looking to take any new people on. But the door is always potentially there to grow that beta team. But there's quite a lot going on there. Someone has said, it could be an open beta. Potentially, we can't do it on consoles. We've pretty much run out of ways of trying to explore how we can do kind of beta testing on consoles. Because we're already a released game, you can't use the insider program, because insider program is for not released games. So the way that Bassmaster, for example, did it, they did closed betas and all sorts of things, really cool stuff. But because they hadn't released yet. Now the game's out, you can't do that, and it doesn't apply to DLC. It's just for games. So the console wouldn't be able to take part in that, but. Again, with the size of the game now, we do start to run into some problems on Steam with having mass duplications of the game infrastructure. So at the moment, it's not something we're looking at, but it's certainly not something we've entirely ruled out. So for the time being, open betas is not on our plan, but it's up for discussion and review as we go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, as those features have come to a close, and as they've obviously, like on the roadmap, they've moved from in production to upcoming, these closing days of this year, at least, before we start any major project in the new year, means that the team's been able to jump on a few smaller tasks here and there. And I sent a screenshot to Natalie. Maybe she'll be able to.
Yeah, give me a second to try and add this. It's either going to go really well or really badly here. So just give me 1 second.
Well, while she's doing that, one of the other things that we have got round to is updating the AWS magnets on East Coastway and making them into the green colour as requested by the community. We've also been looking at adding the container branding onto the Great Western Express containers. And yeah, this is a quick look first instance of the West Somerset PIS system. If you remember back in the first half of the year when we were upgrading West Somerset, we were talking about we can't just slap in the systems that we got because they're just not authentic. They would do damage to the authenticity or the experience of that route.
I love this. It's brilliant.
Isn't it great?
This is a first concept. We were trying to gather what it is we were targeting. Since we put this together, we have changed it both in terms of its color scheme and I think in terms of its proportion. It is going to be a lot more Western region themed. I think a lot of the images we had as inspiration were more southern region based, so that's hence the green. But also we're targeting it being an A-frame at the moment, so that is a standing frame on the platform. So yeah, that's something that's coming together. It's one of those where it needed more time than maybe we'd applied to some of the other PIS systems that we've installed. So yeah, we're kind of going round, and amongst testing all of the upgrades that we've made, we're looking at little projects like this that we can bring together, where we're not feeling that pressure of we've got to get through those route upgrades. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's really cool. It's the first time I've seen that, and I really love how that's going to look on the platform. It's really well done to the team. Really good.
I'm seeing lots of jokes about me looking bored.
Yes.
So I'm back.
The other we touched on is the development of on-train departures or destination displays. So yeah, a long time coming. The first phase was getting the destinations displayed on station platforms, and now we've moved on to implementing those dynamic displays onto trains themselves. At the moment, we've started obviously with the oldest, or I say the oldest, it's actually not, the Rapid Transit for 1442. Next in the list that I got queued up is the Great Western Express class 166. That would be my own personal achievement there to get that one upgraded. We also have our eyes on the Long Island Railroad stock, although I'm yet to do a full research on that, whether it is manually adjusted by the driver or the conductor, the engineer, sorry, or the conductor. But yeah, we're starting to look at those systems. I think the Rapid Transit 1442 has been particularly difficult because of the age of it, and we've been through previously in trying to upgrade its systems with the release of Cologne-Aachen, for example. So it has been a bit difficult, but yeah, that is now a project that we're tackling with on-train displays, so that's cool.
And then let's go on to the Amtrak livery. So I do have some more pictures to share with you in a moment. But first of all, I saw that some of the community actually went train spotting to see the 50th anniversary, and your pictures are excellent. Seriously, it was so nice to see that you'd actually gone looking for it. So do let us know if you went looking for it, and show us your pictures of it. But Matt, you're able to talk about this livery a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah, it's been a fun process working with Amtrak to do this, and I cannot say just how over the moon I am to see it actually out there now. It's just been a really interesting. You go through this process of seeing things in PDF documents, and the creative team did a really good job putting this together. I've seen a few people asking, is this Amtrak sort of putting it together for us, or no? It was kind of I think we came up with the base design, and Amtrak it was back and forth, so it ended up being really quite a team effort. So that we can get that looking really good. And we also really wanted to do the phase 3 livery. We wanted to, not just, one of the ideas we discussed was like Coca-Cola did the big red coloured ACS 64, and we thought about we could do like a big dovetail blue with the big logo on the side or something like that. But we thought, no, actually rail fans, the people that we talk to, the people who what they want to see is something approaching authentic. And what could be better than the livery the AEM7s wore on the Northeast Corridor? So putting phase 3 on there, and the ACS 64 wears it so beautifully. It's
definitely
so
my favourite, especially being a fan of the toaster AEM7.
It's
so good.
My life, as Isaac said, why do you need the Amtrak 50th anniversary livery? We can do it in the livery designer. You can, but you will get this for free as part if you own Boston Sprinter. So it saves you the effort of making it yourselves, and it looks really awesome. So while we're talking about it, shall I show the people the screenshots, Matt?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, so the team have been working hard on this, and in fact we did the first pass of this livery before it got applied to the train. So it was done based on the original briefs. And then what happened is when because it's done using what they call a wrap in reality. So it's a wrap that goes around the outside of the train. And when they applied the wrap, they had a number of difficulties. Actually, it ended up taking them 15 hours to apply this wrap to the train, which is a lot longer than it normally does. They were exhausted by the end
How
of it.
long does it normally take?
A few hours, like I don't know, 3 or 4, something. It's the feedback we got from Matt at Amtrak was just like, wow, that took a lot longer. And when the loco actually went out and we got the first photographs of it, we obviously the beta, actually as a beta Discord, actually were looking at it and looking at some of the model, the images we'd shared of the one that was in progress, and they're like, yeah, but it's wrong.
Yeah.
The one that you put in game doesn't match the one in reality.
Oh no.
And it's just like, oh really? So we had a look at it, and so lead artist spent a couple of hours going through trying to looking at all the things that were different. And actually when we sent this went off, because again for its licensing, it went off for reapproval with Amtrak, and the message back from Amtrak was really lovely. He came back and he said, full marks to Tom. He found every single thing that contributed to the 15 hours there, and he's fixed it on your version as well.
Wow.
So it was just like where the red stripe was, for example, and all of this lot is it was you could see once it was on the train. So this is now matched up against the real world livery rather than the PDF spec effectively that was originally designed. So this is correct. So the goal is to get this out as soon as possible, but we've had some technical difficulties, as who doesn't have technical difficulties, so it's taking us, it would have been out not by now but pretty soon, but I don't now have a release date for you. We're still aiming for as soon as humanly possible, and it'll just be a free update into the Boston route, so that you can drive it on the Boston route yourself, and looking forward to screenshots of it, particularly try to recreate some of the shots that photographs that we're seeing.
I would love that. If you went to see it in real life, try and recreate that same shot in the game. That would be amazing. So I'm gonna bring our faces back now. I know everybody wants to look at the lovely livery.
I don't know what the account is, but I actually follow an account on Instagram where it looks like their intention is to put real life shots and Train Sim 2 shots side by side, and they always look fantastic. So
I'd love it if somebody did that. So yeah, it's currently in next arrival. That's the intention. So, but it might be a little bit longer depending on if these technical difficulties prove to be difficult for a bit longer. Yeah.
Well, we'll keep you updated, and if it's when we aren't doing streams, then we'll put out new forum posts and Dovetail Live pipes up. We will keep you up to date. We are desperate to get this out. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think everybody's desperate to play it in Dovetail as well. So excellent. And then finally, we should really talk about the end of year, the Q&A we're going to be doing. So that's going to be me and you, Matt, and we're going to be streaming on the 29th of December. So for anybody that isn't familiar with these, we do an annual stream where we cover a lot of what's gone on with Train Sim World over the year. What's gone well, perhaps, what we would have liked to have done better. Any questions that you still have that we haven't answered up until this point, you can ask us. We will do our best to answer as many as possible. Now, I should make it very clear that if you ask us personal questions, do not expect us to answer those. That's not going to happen. It's not to find out what's
your favourite colour, Matt?
Yeah, that. And if you don't know his favourite colour by now,
burning to know.
Yeah. So we're not going to be answering those kind of questions. But if you do have questions about the game and anything that, like I said, that we haven't answered this year that you want to know about, anything you're curious about, perhaps, we will absolutely do our best to answer them. And then we have a forum thread for that. that went live today. So post your questions in there. But I think that's basically it for tonight. Thank you for joining us, Adam. We're not going to see you again until the new year now.
No, I actually get to escape for the holiday. My team has done a fantastic job. We've had a fantastic time doing the roadmap streams this year. We've gone through some amazing stuff. We really, really, really want to get everything that we've done out for everyone to enjoy. But yeah, thank you for having me for, what is it, at least 25 streams.
It's been a fair amount of them, so thank you for joining us for all of them. I'm sure some of them haven't been so easy either.
Oh, it's all fun at the end of the day. We love what we do.
Absolutely. And Matt, we've still got a few to go until the end of the year. So
yes.
What day? Wednesday. Tomorrow will be Workshop Wednesday with Jamie, I imagine. And then on Thursday, you're going to be showing off the RHB anniversary liveries.
I am indeed, with Jasper and Jamie.
Yes, and that will be excellent. And then the week after that, I'm not sure what the schedule's looking like because things are starting to wind down for the holidays.
I think I'm streaming on Friday as well, aren't I?
Oh yes, you are. You volunteered yourself.
I'm doing one of those. Matt, will you stop streaming?
Yeah, he's doing one of those never-ending streams on Friday. So yes. There you go. So thank you for joining us, everyone, and have a great evening. And
one final thing I would say, I did see it pass in the chat, is so far I have not yet been disqualified from the prop challenge.
No,
so
he's not.
I am holding on to that win at the moment.
Yes, I think as it's been so long, we will allow you the win on that one. So I think Adam, you won the previous 4-up challenge. Congratulations.
Thank you for everyone.
That's what the people really wanted to hear. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Cheers, everybody. Take care.